placed out there for the members. And then also 6749 Kempton Street was removed from tonight's agenda.
So the first item will be 1894 Commodore.
And followed by draft of RMC model home. Can we get approval of the agenda as amended?
Make a motion we approve.
I second it. In favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, there's no unfinished business, and so we will get straight to the new business. The first one is 1894 Commodore Drive. The variance is they're requesting a shed that is 7 feet from the side property line. Did you want to discuss this, Pete?
It's actually a shed and a garage, just to be clear. And, I don't know if you knew that or not. It's a 12 by 28 and a 16 by 24. One's a shed, one's a garage. But the ACC recommended to approve at 7 feet.
We've got 2 permits? One for
Yes,
shed,
there's
one
2
for
permits.
garage?
Well, yeah. Yes. 1 permit with 2 pages on it. Yes.
12 by 28 and what?
It's 12 by 28 and 16 by 24.
Did he get approval from the neighbors?
Yes.
They sent a letter, was it?
Actually, she's
Very
here.
here.
Yeah.
I missed it.
The homeowner's home. Here.
Your recommendation is approval
To approve, yes. Later on, we're going to talk about the setbacks a little bit later on in the agenda. Why it's 10 feet, 7 feet.
Can I get a motion? Or does anyone have any other questions?
I move we approve as recommended by the ACC. Both applications. I saw no issues with it.
So you approve, you're moving to approve the 7-foot setback? You're moving to approve this, making a motion to approve the 7-foot setback?
County 6, so I move also to approve the setback.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. So now we get into
The model home policy.
model home policy.
And this is,
What about,
do you have a copy of it?
what about Kempton?
That was,
Yeah,
that was removed.
Kempton was taken off because after reviewing it, we found that it's not in compliance with the county. So we sent the homeowner back to get compliance with county first. No sense bringing it to you if he's not in compliance with county. So the model home policy, yeah, have a copy? What do you guys think? Basically, just to bring up to speed everyone, that the prior board asked the ACC to actually make a policy because we had builders calling up and wanted to know the requirements for a model home and where they could go and any special specifications. We don't have any. There's nothing in the covenants that said anything. So when I asked the board, well, what do you want to do about it? They said, we'll make a policy. So after thinking about it, the ACC came up with something. We went over it with VAC. And basically, we just made it very basic. And it just says that if you do a model home, we want it on Sunrise from Navigator to 98. There's only about 2 lots left, and we thought that was probably our safest way.
Is Navigator the street that goes into
Yeah, it's a school. That's where majority of them are.
Now, with the model home, you're looking at a company who is building a model, using it as a business, running a business out of it. What about the builders that are building homes and technically
Like a
have it for sale?
Exactly.
But they're using it as a model home.
And there's nothing we can do about it.
Okay.
So what is the difference between that and this then?
If the contractor wants to come to us and be upfront and be honest what he wants to do, at least we could have some kind of guideline and say, listen, we prefer it to be at the front entrance. Where now, they really could say, oh, it's for sale. You know, they could play a game and say, keep it for sale, keep it like $700,000 and it's only worth $550,000. and just keep it for sale forever and just bring the people in and say, listen, this is what we could do, you know, it's
So it's a model home in reality, but
yeah.
we're framing it as
A
a
model
for sale
home.
home.
The example I'm thinking of is over on PGA, right? As you come in at hole number one,
Right, that's
that
exactly.
Evan Price has a home that is for sale. And it's priced market wise, so I mean,
But
it's not.
there's like an agent there every day, right?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
there's somebody sitting there
Mhm.
working.
Where is that?
It's on the right-hand side. You know where hole number one is?
I don't know.
So what?
You drive in, it's the first tee box on the right-hand side. There's a house for sale.
I don't think you can stop it, you can't, we have no power to stop that.
But they've got a feather out there that's not in compliance with the sign.
I'm sorry, if they have a sign out there?
They have a feather, that's a great big 12-foot feather.
They have an open house sign that
But it's a feather.
they take down every evening, so it's not a permanent sign.
It falls in line with the sign post.
I can tell you that I was there at 5:30 this morning and it was up. Nobody had put it up there before 5:30 this morning. So it was up overnight.
Okay. But that's something I could definitely let the ACC staff know, and they could swing by and try to take a picture.
Are those large signs like that, the big feathered ones that you saw, are those permissible?
If they take them down at night.
So as long as they're removed at night.
Do we really need this, do you think?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you think we really need this? I mean, I hate to add regulations just for the sake of adding regulations.
I don't like to add policy either, but what we need to know is, what do we tell the builders when they call? A lot of the stuff we're gonna talk about tonight is because these are the issues you get phone calls, and do we just make it up? We can't just make this stuff up, the board has to decide. So if you wanna maybe make recommendations maybe for model home, I don't know what you wanna call it, but what do you want us to say when the builders call?
How long have you been on the architectural committee?
About a year and 9 months?
So in that almost 2-year time period, how many builders have called asking if they could build a model home outside these areas?
I know at least 5 or 6.
Really?
Now, when they wanted to build that model home, was that something to keep up indefinitely? Or were they wanting it for a certain period of
Well,
time?
the one, like Samuel Adams, I know what.
See, that's here.
We know where your head is, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Close to, our past president, he wanted to turn that into a model home, and we denied him. We told him that this policy was coming, was going in front of the board, and we ended up selling it anyway. But they wanted to turn one of their homes into a model home.
Could we find a balance where possibly it's permitted for them to have a home that's new as a model home for, say, no more than 6 months, at which time it has to be for sale at market value with the intent of selling it?
Absolutely. I think you could really set any parameters you want. I mean, that's your option. Actually, I don't know if you guys got from the lawyer, from Crew and Crew, sent out a thing about the model homes and his example. Did you not get that? If you didn't, I'll make sure Shelby sends it to you.
Yeah,
Like I said, we don't have to decide today, but it's something that you really want to think about.
It just seems that this is a problem that's not really there.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
But that- but
it's
you would
it's
know
not
more
really
than
a big
I.
problem. It's what do you say when the question's asked?
I think the problem that we're gonna run into is if we get another boom like 2003, 2004, that time frame, where you've got just homes being thrown up in here left and right, somebody is gonna wanna build a permanent model somewhere, so they're not having to constantly keep moving their office.
And what are the drawbacks of a model home? Typically, they're nice, they're in good repair. I mean, other
They
than
wanna
having
put on
several
their best
vehicles
face.
and several cars and, traffic. But, I mean, with the ones off of Sunrise here, I don't see, of course, I'm not driving, every hour on the road, but when I drive by, I don't see a huge influx of vehicles.
No, the traffic usually on the model homes is not very high.
April's giving me that look again. So I don't know, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, I just want to make sure that this is addressing something that's actually happening, or is this something that we're creating for the future?
I think it's a little bit of both, don't you?
Let me just say, right now there's no regulation. Really, they could ask to put it anywhere. It could be up on PGA.
Yeah.
Whatever you allow it to be, it could go. It's on the application, new home says you.
Well, what does Hidden Creek say? Does Hidden Creek have a policy?
No,
No?
nobody does. That's what, all I'm asking is, what do you guys want us to do? Do you want us to say you can build it anywhere you want, and then you could decide? Do you want to have it written in the application saying that all model homes need to be approved by the board, not only the ACC? Maybe something like that.
Yeah, and it could be approved on a case-by-case basis.
That's what I think, and just for the record, I believe Henry Holmes did one of the other builders did a model home on Sunrise, and one of the stipulations that we did was we told them to have a circular driveway so that people weren't backing out onto Sunrise, so that's always an option too.
Well, even with the case by case, we would still have to have some standard in place, because if we said no, if we said yes and then we said no, we would have to justify saying no if we've said yes on a case by case. So I think even with that, there would still have to be some parameter in place, or else we would be opening ourselves up to being discriminatory, I think.
There could be guidelines, it doesn't have to be a policy, if you want to do guidelines.
What's the difference between guidelines and policy? But my
Flexibility.
my other comments are the concerns are traffic to some extent, parking, that there's off-street parking rather than people lined up parking on the street, signage has been an issue.
So you've been here a long time. Have you noticed with the model homes that those issues are serious issues? Now, the traffic, I think, can be mitigated with the circular drive.
Correct.
And the ones on Sunrise, their driveways seem to be pretty wide and big enough to
They've
fit.
gone into like triple width driveways or circular
Yeah.
driveways.
Now, the signage, I mean, that I can see where that would be an issue, where you've got the flags and everything. So that we can set in place where no more than,
One sign.
One sign.
That's
Sign
pretty much what this
policy.
says. This is,
It's in the sign policy.
One
It's in the
sign.
sign policy.
I tend to object to the one, personally, PGA, you've got an Avant, the contractor sign, a for sale sign, and an open house flag. I think that's more than,
I'll have to drive by. I don't. I'll have
Is
to-
that close to $3.99, is it on?
Yeah.
yeah, right, yeah. If you come in off of 399, it's just past the golf club on the right-hand side.
so you have to go past,
How you gonna
gotcha.
turn around if you go?
I usually
You
take a-
have to go a little bit past the golf
Yeah, I
club.
usually take a left at Masters, which is why I haven't.
Right, yeah, you gotta go.
We're gonna take a look.
Now, have we communicated with them with regards to the sign policy?
no, I don't think that we picked it up as an issue. I mean, I could definitely have Shelby go out and take some pictures.
You don't need to.
So in this one, these signs are permissible as long as they're removed at sundown. Is that correct?
The temporary sign, the flag.
The flag. Now, the actual for sale sign, that can stay up
But
indefinitely.
there's a second sign too that I didn't get in that picture.
Exactly.
There's another one, like here.
Well, if
Either
we're
way,
starting getting into.
we'll look into that. That's not.
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the
if we
agenda.
start getting into issues with multiple signs in real estate and houses for sale,
Right.
then, any house on the golf course is gonna have a sign on the golf course side and on the street side, so you've got multiple signs.
Right.
So, we have to be careful how we address that, just from a.
Correct.
Can you have it, if it borders the golf course, can you have a sign on the backside
Yes, they have.
where it's accessible, where you can see it from the golf course? Is that permissible?
I know they have them.
They have them, whether it's permissible is.
Yeah, I've never.
The county code on signage is you may have one sign per street front. So a corner lot or a lot that's got a street in front and behind it. The county code does not address the sign on the golf course side.
But if it is adjacent to a golf course, that's not a road, that's a golf
That's
course.
correct. So in my interpretation, the golf course side is probably not in compliance with the.
But the covenants and bylaws and the county is silent on that.
The
With
county is
regards
silent
to-
on the golf course
on the
side.
golf course.
The county says for sale signs, one per property, per street frontage.
I'm not looking to open up a can of worms. I don't even know if that's an issue. I mean, the sign, who's really seeing the sign on the golf course except the golfers? And that's the whole purpose, so.
Yeah.
I do see one issue though where it
If you're
says,
selling a house, you might want to go.
I don't have a golf course house, so.
I do see, one issue there where it says, section 13, form and size of such signs must first be approved by the subdivider.
Right, that's because that line is right out of the covenant, word for word. It's-
Right. I don't think we want the subdivider
No,
approving the sign.
but that's the reason it's written like that, is because
That was
it's out of the
the
covenants.
original
Right.
Subdivider of record, of which
Right.
there,
Agreed, who are no longer here.
well, there's still a subdivider of record, but they own 0 lots.
Right. So I don't think we really need that. Maybe we need a new sign policy.
Andrew Adams, 2600 Crescent. My opinion about this is that, and this is actually listening to some of the other board members, that those people are actually doing a business function in a residential area. And I believe that there's lots of other businesses that would like to set up businesses in the residential area. There are a lot of businesses, but there's
Without
not.
signage.
But without signage. Well, but I think that we as an organization might be missing an opportunity. And I think that it might be an opportunity to think about bringing all the businesses into one place and have a welcome center where they could go in and see not only builders, but other people doing business in the community, the lawn people, the landscapers, the bug people, the interior decorators, because as we mature as a community, people want one place to go to shop for all that stuff that they're going to be doing over time.
So what you're suggesting is to have one of the builders allow their home that is used as a model home to also be used.
Actually, what I would
As advertisement
suggest,
for other
I would
businesses.
say that we give them their 90 or 180 or whatever days to vacate their model homes altogether and move into another facility once we set that up. That's just, I'm just throwing way off the wall to bring people over here instead of all that traffic over there for people that live there. You'd probably rather not have model homes all along on your street. Have an established neighborhood where it's new people and people that already live here want to do business with somebody that wants to. We've got add-on garages. Where somebody's doing that business, maybe they want to have a place to showcase their business too.
I understand what you're saying, but I think that's different than a model home, because a home is, this is what your home can look like, as opposed to, these are all the different businesses with people who own businesses who live in Holly by the Sea. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't know that you could take the model home or the builder and put him in a building over here, like what you're saying.
Well,
the others.
with the exception that a lot of those model homes are now 10 years old, they don't look like what they're going to build today. You know, those model homes, unless they're the brand new model homes, there aren't any brand new model homes. They're all older model homes. Some of them, I mean, am I wrong? Aren't there some that are 10 years old or more?
Mm-hmm.
Or more? I mean, that's not what your home's going to look like. So why have a business over there other than just to have an office? They have an office but they've got a lot of overhead there. Whereas if they had basically a condo office where they could lease space and show what they can do with plans and pictures and samples and all that, and meet and have one person that could be a greeter and just big map. Here's our lots that we have available.
That is, you bring a good point though. Those model homes, with the age that they are they actually used as model homes? I mean, which is,
I don't
you
think
come
they
in,
are.
because my definition of a model home is I go in and this is what I can buy.
Right.
Now, if it is a dated model that they no longer build, is it by true definition a model home, or has it become a place of building
Well,
with
it's
an office?
always-
And if that's the case, because I do understand like
It's
a
always
model
commercial.
home
It's
is
gonna be a
a
commercial
commercial,
business.
yes.
Some of those
But
have
if
been
this
built
is a
by somebody
commercial
else.
business without the model home part, then I think that makes it something different.
I mean, some of those model homes were built by a different builder than who's occupying them now.
Well, the simple way of saying then, No more model homes, take it off the application.
But see, it's not, but that's my.
And then what you do is you force them into doing what they're doing anyway, up on PGA or whatever, but then you could say you cannot have the signage. You can enforce that, they can't have that, model home out there. You can have a for sale sign out there, or you're not
But
gonna
it's
have.
not a true model home in the sense of what a model home is. That's not what they are anymore.
No, not these, no.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion, we've already got the sign policy, I'll make a motion that we approve this policy, just to get this thing on the table and voted on, one way or the other. I make a motion, we approve it. Any second?
I'll second for.
Discussion?
Okay, the home that's on PGA is Avant Builder, and he also lives on PGA.
Lives in the home?
He lives in a home on
Not that home.
PGA.
Not in that one,
Not that home. But he builds a really quality home, because I went into his home and it was an open house, it was in the parade of homes.
Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful home.
But that's not 10 years old like those Henry homes. The Gooden home and that Henry home, that was a model home that we looked at. We had a Gooden home. They don't even build that model anymore.
Let me ask you, this says from Sunrise Drive from Navigator south to 98. So are we, isn't there, what is the first street that runs east and west?
Water.
Water, so this would include water? Well, because it's
Just on Sunrise.
it's south, so it's just Sunrise.
Just Sunrise.
So how many lots are left there that are vacant that could be built on? Two.
I
I think it's
have
just
a
two.
question. What if we made, I know there's a lot of vacant lots on Water Street, and that is, right now, when I go out and I walk, Sunrise is already busy enough as it is. Water Street, would that be admissible to start putting
Most of that is R2.
model homes there?
Yeah, the problem I have with the Water Street is a lot of them are rated for R2, so multi-family use. And then you have the issue of, well, you're putting a single-family house like we did.
Right.
We allowed a single-family house to be built on a multi-family lot only. Now, again, that's not a problem with the county at all. The county does not mind that. It's just a Holly by the Sea covenant.
Would this mean if this policy is approved, the home on PGA that would mean those signs would have to be taken, the for sale sign, the big flag
Right.
that says model, that would have to be, that would not be
I
permissible.
think, does it say model home?
It says open house.
Yeah.
It says open
The
house.
houses don't come down every night.
Yeah, but you don't have an open house every day. You have an open house once a month.
Yeah, see, they know how to navigate through the obstacles.
All right, let's,
I mean, maybe one other thing that you might want to do then, if it's a concern before you do vote on it, is maybe put a time restriction. And if you're worried about 5 years, 10 years being too old, that if you make a model home, that it needs to be sold after 5 years or 1 year, whatever you want. That's the only other thing that I could see, maybe, if you're concerned about it getting old and then having what we have now.
I think this needs some tweaking myself.
yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I just think there's been legitimate issues raised tonight that we need to put into this.
What would you like to put in?
I'm not opposed to model homes throughout Holly by the Sea because typically they're nice. And as long as we can put in the stipulation with the circular drive to ensure that the traffic is taken care of. But then also to have a time limit as to when it is no longer a model home. To say
See, if it's just a couple things, the home needs to be built like any other home anyway with the architectural wise. So if you have a couple things like the circular drive, that's something we could just put on the application. If you do a model home, these are the 5 things that are required. Instead of coming up with a policy, we could just put it on the application and everybody knows it and it becomes common.
Well, let's do that then. Let's just put the restrictions on the application and then the builder is.
You want to just jot down real quick? Well, I'll draw up a new application with it, but let's just talk real quick. So you want to have circular driveway?
The circular drive. I think 6 months is good. I heard a year, but no more than 6 months as a model home, and then it has to.
I can tell you this, I did talk to a couple of builders. If they're gonna do a model home, 6 months is like, it'll take a year to sell anyway.
That's a real short.
6 months is too short.
Yeah, they want more time,
So we
otherwise.
should give it 30 days?
I don't think they would entertain building it if they.
24
for a while.
better.
I think, a couple of years.
So-
before they're
Very
looking for it.
reasonable. 3, compromise.
So 12 months, 24 months would be.
36.
3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3
you know,
years.
it isn't
No, I
like
think
it
3 years
used to
is
be.
too long. I think 3
out
years
here.
is too long.
It isn't like it used to be out here on Sunrise when it was going left and right.
Right.
You know, back when I bought, there was all kind of traffic and signs and models and it's much slower than that now. And then like you said, when they put them in the neighborhood, it's a nice home. It's one of their best homes. And, but it may take a while, to sell it. I would be good with 24 months.
And
12 months, 24 months?
Yeah, I think, cause, you know, there's investment in time that they're gonna have to put into getting that thing set up as a business, you know, if you're using it as a model home. And, you know, I would think that, yeah, 2 years would be a reasonable time.
2 years is fine. Okay, so 24 months is the limit, yes.
And a suggestion on signage, that they be allowed one permanent sign that's off of the right of way, typically 15 to 20 feet from the shoulder of the road, depending upon wherever the front lot line is off of the right of way, that says, it can say model home and who the builder is. And then when an agent is present, they could have a sandwich board or wind feather that's out only when an agent is present, not the current 3 signs that are on.
Do we need to set, for the permanent sign, do we need to set a sign size?
No, it's in there.
Sorry.
The sign policy has it already.
The sign-
Also, I believe the sign policy, most of these, is only the one sign, if I'm not mistaken. What they're supposed to do is take out their Polo Banker sign, and that's supposed to be portable, just like your flag, and they're supposed to take that down at night.
Yeah,
So there should be only one sign out there for everybody.
Yeah, that's 24 hours, and then if it's occupied, you know, agent on site, that's a sandwich board or something.
Okay, so just, then, do we need,
We're just gonna table it, then I withdraw the motion and we'll table it.
well, what we're doing, what we're working on is not a policy so much as it is just adding these
Yeah.
restrictions to
So
the.
if we table this,
Yeah,
then this
yeah,
just
yeah.
goes away.
Just withdraw it.
Dies for lack of action.
Just
All
hold
right, I
it.
withdraw my motion.
Okay, so circular driveway, 24 months. Anything else? And
One permanent sign. Any temporary signs have to come down at night. The placard agent,
Right.
agent has to be on duty.
I don't even know if we have to, we just have to just put, just like we have in this policy, that it's part of the sign policy anyway. It's not allowed.
Now, from your experience, are we going to need to have an enforcement mechanism in place, like $5,000 deposit, something like that? And then in
No,
24 months, if
no.
you keep it up, then are they pretty good with
And you're
that?
saying keep it.
Say at the end of 24 months, if they decide to say,
We
well.
want to keep the bond for 24. We have $2,000 bond until they get the CO and our final inspection. Then we give it back. You want to make a stipulation there where we keep the bond until
Until it's sold?
it's sold.
I
Yes.
think it should be higher on a model home because they're making money there. The bond.
Well, I mean, with the $2,000 bond, even with the house, they're still making money. I mean, they're selling it.
You kind of be discriminating
If you were to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, any home that's built with that bond is being sold, so the money's being made. I understand your point, but it's, I mean, unless we increase it for everybody, I don't think that would be equitable.
How will you handle current model homes? Will their clock start once policies, you send them a letter saying we now have
The
24
current
months?
model homes.
Yes.
Yes, I would think that they would have to, not a grandfathering, but they fall under the new policy when it's, effective.
Better talk to lawyers.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Because they signed a contract saying that's okay, but these people out here that are.
Well, if they have a contract with Holly by the Sea, then that's different. We can't.
That's like saying that you can't, I don't think we're legally obligated to say that.
If they're not a model home and they signed up as a model home, then they are a model home. And I think they'd welcome the opportunity to build a newer home and make it a real model home.
That's what I was gonna say, something like that.
Something like
Also, we're not restricting that to the 2 lots on Sunrise. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yes, no, it's anywhere.
And that's gonna be great.
Okay, so,
Do I sense an editorial slamming? To build or not to build?
so, do you want to tweak this as a policy, or do you want to try to get it onto the exterior, new home
Let's see if we
application?
can't get it on the application, and then we can bring that before the board.
Okay, all right, we're gonna look at that tonight too. All right, so we good with this?
Throw out an idea, might you consider notifying neighbors within X hundred of feet that they're looking at a model home with these restrictions within 300, 500 feet, whatever.
Should we get their permission?
Well, at least notify them so that if they have a problem, they can come and talk about it when it's going to be talked. Kind of like the county puts up the yellow signs when they're going to do a zoning change. And have to notify people within 500 feet or something.
I would think if I was next door to the model home, if my yard looked bad, they'd want to redo my yard.
Right.
You can build a model home contingent upon landscaping everybody.
Everybody's yard in the whole lot.
We'll look into that and see how we can best do that. All right, the next policy is
All right, now-
followed by the city covenants.
I don't know if you want to call it a policy for this, for the garage sales, yard sales. Is everyone familiar why we have this written up?
Yes,
For the one or
at
two,
least some of them.
3 people a year that want to make it a full-time business. And really, what the big issue is the architectural staff doesn't have a lot of information to give the people. Even when you're writing up a violation, what are you telling the people? It's a nuisance? That's the only thing we could really have in the covenants, because we don't have a policy on it. So it becomes a nuisance for parking or for the neighbors, or it's a little difficult for them to write it up, basically, so because they really don't have anything substantial. So that's what we were sort of, do you make it a policy, or do you just make it informational? Or that's basically what I'm asking.
I would think item 2, where you talk about encouraged to limit to no more than 4 garage sales, I would just strike the word encouraged.
Well,
And just tell them.
and you know what? And again, we did think about this a little bit. You really, you can't limit, you know what? This is really just in place to say, we have it in place, just like the model homes, you have something in place, and it's really, we're not looking at this until it becomes a real nuisance. Where you know that garage sale, yard sale, every single weekend, all weekend, selling Christmas items, they don't even put it away. You know what I mean? Those are the ones we're really looking for, and if we don't have anything in place to give them our policy or recommendations, I think that's what we're really looking to have something written down, where we don't have
I know
anything.
the house you're talking about, has that been an
Yes.
issue in the last 12 months?
No, not at all, they're actually very compliant now.
Yeah, because you've driven by there several times and I haven't
Yeah, no,
seen one.
it's taken care of,
yard
but we
sale.
got the county involved and they cleaned it up and they've come into compliance, so we're happy about that. But again, there's other issues with other people doing the same kind of stuff. But
Again, not to be reinventing the wheel, but due to lack of record keeping, this has been discussed before, some background information. 1, the county tax collector has a policy that more than 2 garage or yard sales a year is running a business and you're supposed to be collecting sales tax. Okay, so if you have more than, by county tax collector, now maybe you need to get them involved, but more than 2, last time I read it, now I didn't find that.
I think it was.
I think it's changed to 4 now.
Okay,
That's where we came up with the 4 number. We did look into the toll taxing. We looked into the whole sales tax issue too, but the problem is, how does a homeowners association enforce something like that? We didn't want to touch it.
we don't unless we want to say, we've got a problem, Mr. Tax Collector, please do your job.
So, I mean.
Enforce your own rules.
Yeah, you would get the tax collector involved as a punitive measure.
Right.
For someone who's having
It was
yard
a huge-
sales every weekend.
Right. And then secondly, seeing the tax collector says more than 2 is running a business, county land development code says in R1 zoned areas, a home occupation, a business, cannot have exterior displays of goods and chattels, can't have signage, can't generate more than 8 vehicle trips per day. So I would go kind of, whatever our policy is, to coordinate with these two parts of county ordinance.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea I like the idea of having guidelines, but I do think it needs to be in accordance with the county, and if that's in this policy, to let people know, no more than 4. If you
that's how we
in
got
accordance with, then you have to pay sales tax. Yeah, so they're aware. Now, obviously, I don't think we're going to go around policing garage sales, but then they know, and this could be part of their.
And that really wasn't the big issue, in the sense that when it was that big of a business for them, the county did come in and they took care of it for us. But it's the smaller things too, where writing the violation is where we're just want to make it a little bit easier, having something in place. Like now with the boat policy, there's a policy in place, and they could send them a copy where it's underlined, listen, these are the rules of Holly by the Sea, this is what we follow, this is the guidelines. We don't have anything like that. The only thing we have is a nuisance in the covenants. That's basically what I'm saying. It just makes it a little bit easier. We're looking to make the office job a little bit easier and giving the information out to the actual homeowner. Because when you tell them, well, it's a nuisance, you can't have a yard sale, they're not really.
You put the county code in there that it's a nuisance because they've had more than one. You cite the county code. Again, you have county code to back you up. You don't need a policy to reiterate county
Right, and
code.
again, that's why we're not looking really for policy per se. We're just looking for something to hand out to the homeowner after they're in violation.
Why do you need the board to do that?
Well, I can't just make it up. I'm asking for them
If
to
you're
approve
quoting
it.
Santa Rosa County ordinances,
Just tell me not to go
I
to
think
the
it would
board.
be a little.
you're quoting the ordinance.
I don't drive around Holly by the Sea on Saturdays and Sundays, which typically tend to be your garage sale days. I know Friday sometimes gets thrown in there. But again, is this really an issue, and how would architectural know that
We're not
this
looking
home
for it.
is in
It's
violation of?
it's not until we get the phone calls from the neighbors saying it's a nuisance and it's a problem.
Well, they can have one garage sale and the neighbor could
Again,
call
we're
and
not
say
looking to
it's a
stop
nuisance.
it. We're not looking to stop it at all. It's only after the people are complaining that it becomes the problem. And then we have something to give the homeowner that's in violation. We're just looking for documentation to give the person in violation. So right now we have nothing to give them. When you write up the violation, they're stating the covenants that you're a nuisance. That's it.
Why aren't they quoting the county ordinances? That's what they were supposed to be doing.
I think we need to clean this up. I'm not opposed to
I
it.
don't
but
have the county board.
I understand what you're trying to do, Pete, with
It used to be in there.
that. You're not on the board, you're not at the microphone. Pete, I know what you're doing, but I think we need to clean this up, so if it's okay with the board, I will clean this up, add the county language to it, and then we can bring it back to the board
Yeah, I'm not looking for
in September.
approval
Postpone
as
to the
this.
next meeting.
Yeah, so I make a motion to postpone this until the September architectural meeting in order to add the county code verbiage to it.
Pete, do you have something that you can add?
I'll look, I couldn't find a hard copy of the tax collector stuff. I have in hand a printout of Article 6, R1 zoning rules on home businesses. So, but you're calling them, you fall under the home business rule because the tax collector says more than 2 a year.
And that might be
or
enough
a
to
year,
scare them
whichever
too.
it is a home business. And that's Article 6, paragraph 6.0305
So,
B.
okay, so what I'll do, Pete, is I'll get with you and we'll get the county codes and I'll get that, if that's okay, we can get together after the meeting so that then we can then incorporate that into this and we'll just bring it back before the board in September.
Good.
Okay? Next.
Okay, so the exterior home.
Well, there's a motion. I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The exterior home application, again, this is just food for thought. Originally, we brought this to the previous board for consideration. We get roughly 3 phone calls a week about chickens. what are the requirements? And we have not much to tell them. Well, we say it's a domestic pet and you're allowed to have them. So it's going to be a problem someday. People complain now because they're starting to get smelly. There's no limit on how many. How high can the chicken coops go? Can they go 30 feet like your house? There's nothing in place. So all we're looking is for some direction. We wanted to add it to the external home just so it could be run by. Right now it doesn't have to be run by, even though it's a structure. They're putting them up without a permit. So we're just trying to make everyone come in compliance who actually wants chickens.
What criteria are we using for, I mean, let's just using the chickens as an example. I mean, are they keeping them as pets?
Yeah, it's like a
I mean, if they're collecting eggs, then they're farm animals at that point and not acceptable.
No, the
No,
county
they are
calls them
allowed.
domestic
The
animals.
county lets them.
I think the code says that you're allowed to have as many chickens as you could eat
Oh, my God.
or something. So whether it's a dozen a day or
But
whatever.
don't our covenants talk about them as being pets and not
Not
as
chickens.
farm animals?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Domestic.
Yes.
apparently they're
They're not
considered
livestock.
domestic.
They're not
With the
live.
exception of horses.
Not a rooster though. Roosters don't, just chicken.
Right, the county considers them domestic animals.
Right.
Yep.
So again, so the ACC talked about it and we go, well, maybe try to get some kind of limit. If they don't have a chicken coop, try to keep it underneath a 6-foot fence so not everybody has to look at it. So that was where we came up with that number, the height. And then if you want to go down to trash cans and containers, this is the other issue. And it's putting away your trash cans, right? How are you going to enforce that? It's impossible. You're not going to enforce it. What are they supposed to do with the trash cans? Put them in the garage? Not going to happen, right? Who wants a dirty, nasty, smelly trash can in the garage?
Hey, I put mine in my garage.
You clean it, but you're good.
Still in my garage.
Most people, we can't. All we're saying is, this actually isn't a requirement. This is actually trying to make it easier. Right now, you can't get a container from Lowe's and put it on the side of your house per our covenants. What we're trying to say is, we're trying to make it a little bit more lenient, where you could go buy another trash bin, we're calling it another bin, to put your garbage can in and make it, you understand, you know what I'm saying? Which, instead of it's not really a shed, it's an actual, another bin where Rubbermaid makes them, where the doors open up and you just slide them in and it just conceals.
So if they want to put a fence around them?
That's okay too, yeah, anything to screen it, I mean,
Anything just to conceal it from
but
sight?
technically the fence needs to be 10 feet back from the side of the house. There's other issues that roll into this, and that we're trying to make it easier, not harder for the
Right.
homeowner. Because if you start really looking at the covenants, you really can't do much.
So why don't we just change the covenants?
That would be so much easier. Good luck with that.
It's gonna get done. I don't think the issue is the fence. I think you can build a 6-foot fence, you can build a 20-foot fence, 20-feet fence. I think it's the chickens. The smell comes over a fence regardless of its height.
Right.
And the sound. You know, so if you're the neighbor, the fence does nothing to resolve the issue that,
Of the smell.
yeah, and the sound. Now to the owner, they're not a nuisance, but to their neighbors, it is. So,
Do you want to make a policy, or do you want to put it on this application where you can't have more, say, 8, 12 chickens?
Do we allow people to have 8 or 12 dogs?
3
I
is
mean,
the
what's more,
county.
I think it's
become a nuisance.
reasonable.
3 is the county limit.
In our covenants, I think it says reasonable amount, right? It doesn't give a number. I thought it said
No
reasonable.
numbers in our covenants.
Yeah.
The county for dogs is 3. There is no.
If you have chickens, do you have to have a rooster with them?
No.
No.
No, you can't have
Good
them.
eggs.
They're just not
They're not
fertile.
fertile.
They're just not fertile.
They just-
Just like you get the eggs at the grocery store.
They still lay eggs.
If they did have a rooster, you'd get no red spots.
Oh, that's right. Chicken.
Chickens laying eggs.
I looked it up.
They don't need a
I tried
name.
to look it up.
I'm really trying to move along.
what is the, based on your experience, I don't go around looking for chickens and thank the good Lord my neighbors don't have chickens. What is the most Because I would be on their door asking for eggs, but what is the most, that you know of?
I
what
asked
is
a
the
couple
most
people, I know a
owned?
couple people that have chickens. 12, there's really no reason to have more than 12 chickens. More than enough eggs for,
But are there any homeowners in Holly by the Sea who own more than 12 chickens?
there's no way to know. There's plenty of people that own chickens,
How
but we
many
can't go.
homeowners own chickens?
There's a lot.
More than you think.
They have a whole
There's actually a
website.
group.
Okay, so
I'm
let me
telling you,
ask
we
this,
get,
how are we
on average, 3
going to,
phone calls a week about chickens.
so how are we going to enforce how many chickens? Because that would require architectural staff or enforcement
Again,
to
I-
actually go into the backyard and count the chickens. So how is that
You're
workable?
probably not going to. It's just like the garage sales. You're not going to do it until there's an actual issue. A complaint, a violation where it says, wait a second, you're getting the smell, and then you're gonna have contact with the homeowner, and then maybe go from there.
Yes, but that's my point. So you have contact with the homeowner, and the homeowner says, get off my property, you are not coming in my backyard to count my chickens.
Yeah.
All right, the covenants say
I
no
can't believe we're
animals
discussing
other
chicken.
than common accepted domestic pets.
But a chicken is considered a pet.
Now, to me, if you're getting eggs from that chicken, it's no longer a pet, it's livestock.
No,
And
but I mean,
that
a
falls in the
chicken
purview
lays
of our-
eggs. It's like, it's like,
Get your chickens fixed. Spay and neuter your chickens.
this is where you
Just-
really have to get
just so
your
you
home
know-
clean.
Just so you know, a past board already approved chickens for Holly by the Sea.
No.
So
Pete, I told you to stop doing that.
unless you change the past board's ruling, you can't get rid of the chickens right now. Now, as far as the chickens.
We can limit it to one chicken.
But see, that's my point. How are you going to verify how many chickens? Because that would require them going onto someone's property, and we already have this, the architectural staff being threatened when they're on the street. So, I don't know, I would not want to be
There's no
that
way to
staff member.
enforce how many they have. The only thing you can enforce is if they're a nuisance, if they smell, then you get the health department involved,
Right.
period.
All pets have to be brought inside at night.
I think just, listen, most of these rules, just like our covenants, 85% of the people follow them. So if you say you can only have 12 chickens, most of the people are going to comply. The other 15% of them do whatever they want anyway.
But still, if we have a policy that we can't enforce,
Well, you probably
Yeah,
could, if you,
let's
actually,
start.
if they get out, you count, 25 chickens, then you know. But if you have nothing written down, you'll never be able to enforce it because there's nothing written down.
As long as you don't count them before they hatch.
Correct.
but that doesn't go under exterior home improvement, the number of chickens you can have.
No, I wasn't asking for a number of
That
chickens.
goes
I was
over
talking about chicken
over
coop.
the
You
coop.
guys brought chickens into it, like,
Yeah.
number of chickens.
Size and height.
There are rules when you have.
Now, the structure for a chicken coop would have to fall in line with the building of other structures in the back, right? It
Like a
couldn't
shed.
exceed, yes.
Mhm.
So that's already taken care of with regards to building a chicken coop.
An accessory building, well, right now, most people don't. I have never seen an application for a chicken, well, maybe one. I think I've seen one application for a chicken coop. So if we don't see them, like I said, we can't go in someone's backyard, we don't even know. Until we go, you know.
Picture on the cover 2 years ago.
Again, you don't have to vote on this. Just, it's an issue, you gotta think about it.
Yeah, unless someone wants to make a motion, I don't really see a motion here now, but it is something that we can attempt to address, at least, if nothing else, with the number of chickens on the
Well,
line.
like I said, right now, you get 3 phone calls a week. What does the office tell them?
Well, are they
Can I have as many as you want? Right now,
Are
there's
they
enough.
complaint calls, or are they people wanting to know if they can put a chicken?
It's probably half and half. Some are nuisance, like they smell it and it's bothersome because their neighbor has them, they don't like them. And then the other people will say, oh, they're really cool, I want to get some. Are there any requirements that I have to do? And right now, no, there's none. You can do whatever you want.
No, but Beth hit the nail on the head. If it becomes a nuisance, or if the smell, or if it's drawing flies or something, then the health department should look at that. I mean, we can't really enforce county ordinances.
Okay, so I could tell the architectural staff, you can have as many as you want as long as it's not a nuisance and
Well,
your
we
neighbors don't
can't,
complain.
I don't think we can say how many they have. What gives us
The
what
covenants
gives us
give-
the authority
the
to say
covenants.
how many chickens you have?
The covenants do.
No, they don't.
They say we
Okay,
can
let's-
reasonably limit the number
All
of
right,
pets.
what?
So let's go back
Three
to,
ones, I think, what?
okay, let's go back to the pet house enclosure coop improvements. What you're asking us to do is to approve the enclosure for chickens or any other pets, that it be no higher than 6 feet, which is in line with the privacy fence.
Right.
Gotcha. I make a motion to add to the home improvement, make sure I get this right.
Well, before you do that, do you want to talk about the garbage too and just make one motion, or do you want to go?
Let's do one motion at a
I
time.
want to add one thing to that.
Let me make the motion first and then we can discuss it, but we won't. So I make a motion to add to the exterior home improvement application, the pet house enclosure coop improvements section, that all enclosures must be no higher than 6 feet at highest point in keeping with the privacy fence. Can I get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Okay, why don't we add to that the chicken houses must be cleaned weekly?
There's
No way.
there's no way to enforce that.
No way.
And this is building something, this is not the maintaining. We don't require that people pressure wash their dog houses or whatever else they have back there, so, in their backyard. So while I understand what you're saying, there would be absolutely no way that we could enforce that, and this is for the building of something, not the maintenance or upkeep of it.
Right, but chickens get chicken mites.
No, I understand what you're saying, but this, number one, this application would not be the place for that. That would not be the place to address this, because this application is simply stating that if a chicken coop is built, it has to be within the parameters of no more than 6 feet high. That's what this is. So it's just the building.
What was your verbiage about the privacy fence? You said something.
In keeping with the privacy fence, so the privacy fence can be no higher than 6 feet.
Do we want it enclosed with a privacy fence? Do they need a fence?
No, I was just using the visual that it's in line with the privacy fence. That
So it's no higher than.
no higher than 6 feet.
Most people that have chickens have fences anyway, because
Right,
they want to protect the chickens, because they will be eaten by a dog or
They don't
whatever.
want their chickens roasted.
Yes, so can we get a
Or
vote?
bear.
Call the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
I'm gonna say aye.
I need to go get Skip.
Where are we divided? What'd you say, Nick?
What's 3 to 1?
Yeah, it's 3 to
No,
1.
I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
There should be.
For me, it's not the poop issue, it's the chicken issue, period.
And this doesn't deal with it.
Yeah, so,
This just deals with the structure.
I say, I approve, I say aye. Because we have to start somewhere. This at least provides the structure in which they are housed. So it passes 3 to 1. All right, so now on to the concealing the trash and garbage can containers. Your change here is all improvements must be 10 feet back from the edge of home. When you say improvements, please be specific.
Improvements, basically, if you're going to put a privacy fence or a screen or something, it needs to be 10 feet, just like a fence. So we don't want to, we need it, and that's in the covenants, or actually one of the policies, right?
No, it's not in the covenants, that was just.
The parking policy, that was, I know, it sort of went back from the meters being read, that it needed to be back from the front corner of the house 10 feet.
And uniform aesthetics.
Yeah, uniformity for the.
That's where the 10-foot rule came back from. Again, this is just something, it's trying to help the people out, that technically, right now, if you put a lattice fence to just block your trash cans, you're not really in compliance. Technically.
Well, is there anything that states you can't use a lattice fence? See,
No,
my
you-
problem with this is there is no
Well, you can start
specifics.
going ornamental fence, ornamental doesn't really screen it. The covenant says that you're supposed to screen your garbage cans
It's supposed to be out of public view.
out of public view, so that, when you really start looking at the covenants and how you could write it up, we're just trying to make it easier for people. That's-
I mean, my guideline would be if you stood in the driveway of the street, can you see it?
Well, it's just like your boat now. As long as it's 10 feet back from the front corner, you're in compliance.
In the easement.
Technically, that's the backyard now, 10 feet back.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Have there been any fences approved that are closer in than 10 feet from the front corner?
Yes. Yes. Exceptions to the rule.
Are you saying for fences and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, like if an air conditioner was like at 8 feet and the fence needed to go at 10 feet, yeah, no, you
Or
ask
they
for a
measure
variance
off.
to put the fence in front of the air conditioner to block the view. But again,
Or to the line of neighbor's fence.
Patricia Hogue, 2792 Camden. I had a question about the enclosure of the garbage. I understand that 10 feet back from the front of the house, are you limited to how close you can put it to the rear of the lot?
No, this addresses the front. So there are stipulations in place that require certain materials to be used, which is why you have materials and color. Is that why these are here?
right.
All right, I move to approve the concealed trash, garbage containers, and improvements, that all improvements must be 10 feet back from front edge of home.
I second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now we get into the fun one, discussion of parking policy and enforcement.
What do you want to do about it? I guess basically we have a couple issues now where homeowners are not in compliance. They haven't been for some time. We have a homeowner, besides, we'll start with the boat on the driveway. If there's a boat on the driveway and they're not moving it, and they have the demand letters, they came here, where do we go from here? What do you want to do? What do you want the architectural department to do after you send out a demand letter and it's not being enforced or changed by the homeowner? Do you want them to start? Do you want us to go and say, bring up usage rights and bring it to you? Do you want to enforce a fine policy? How do you want them to, how are you going to give the architectural, I guess, the power for the homeowner to comply with the covenants or the policies? After we send out a letter, that's all we got.
Well, I think that's pretty much the issue with all violations, is after you send out the letter, that's all you got.
Now, I just talked to a past board president, and years ago, they spent a lot of money on fines, not fines, bringing them to court.
How
And they
successful
lien-
is that?
And they leaned the house, and you know what, from what he told me, eventually, they fell into place. People, if the word got out, you had to spend the money. I'm not saying right now is
Was
the
it
time
your
to spend
board,
the money.
Pete?
No,
It was before him.
before me.
Before you,
But it fell into
720
place.
allows for, talks
Fines.
about $100 a day fine up to $1,000.
Again,
That it's not a lien, you have to go after them in small claims court for it.
There's, however, if you go to 615, there's a provision that says the corporations can't fine unless it's in their governing documents, and a fine is not in our governing documents.
But 720 supersedes the covenants.
No, but it doesn't supersede 615.
Yeah.
615 supersedes the covenants.
it does say penalty, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's for the common area.
That's for common area.
That's what I would.
I can dig out that piece of paper too someplace.
My only question is, you have them go ahead and we suspend the usage rights, but how many of them actually really use the facility as it is? So what, are they losing out once we?
I would say at least that, though, as a minimum, it's not going to cost you anything.
Right, I'm just
At least
saying.
try to do that and have some scare tactic to try to get everybody in compliance.
Publish it in the newspaper.
Could you might be able to answer this, Pete, could we suspend their voting rights in addition to usage rights if they are in violation? I know you can for assessments if they're delinquent, but for something like this?
I don't know off the top of my head, I think so, but I don't know for sure.
Because voting rights might,
Or maybe both.
They're both.
Kelly, you got?
Yeah.
700 people that vote, yes.
You voting rights? Voting rights and usage rights if they're in non-compliance?
We don't have to.
well, no, it may not be enough, but the point is the issue that we have is we really have no tools within our covenants to go to enforce that which we have. So someone could have their vote there, and unless we spend thousands of dollars to take this person to court to enforce a parking policy, and then it's cost, benefit analysis. If we spend 5,000, this is just a number, an arbitrary number, to get them to, adhere to the boat, the boat parking policy, what are we doing here? So I think the root problem is the covenants, and that is something I know that people don't want to hear. But we are, can I say this now? We've got, the homeowners associations are now allowed e-voting, so we're looking into that to implement that. And we will begin rewriting, through committees and working together, sections of the covenants that are most troublesome. The parking policy and the usage policies are the two areas that I think most boards have struggled with the most. So that's when we need to address the enforcement and what we can do in accordance with 615 and 720, these other documents that supersede our documents. And that is the way to really address it, in my opinion, because yes, we can put all the enforcements we want, but are we really willing to spend association money to go after the few people who just say, forget you, I'll park my boat in the driveway, what are you going to do about it?
Couple of things. I don't know where you guys are on and getting your Okay. Don't know where you guys are on getting your mandatory board training or certificate in lieu thereof. I hope you do the board training because it's a lot better than just some paper whipping.
3 of us already have.
Good for you. So did the lawyers go over with you that if you take a resident to court, 720 requires you offer mediation. You go to mediation. That's the only way to preserve the winner recovering, the winning party recovering all legal costs. So yes, it may cost the association upfront money to go to court, but can be recovered if you go to mediation. And it's either resolved in mediation, in which case recovery of cost is part of the mediated settlement, or if you go to court and hopefully win, then you can recover the costs as part of the court settlement. A couple of examples are the guy that plopped the Connex in the middle of his backyard and called it a shed. We took that to court. It was settled in mediation. He was required to make his Connex look like a shed, put a roof on it, put siding on it, and we did recover a significant, not all, but a significant part of the legal costs.
Looking at the technical part of this, just the writing, number 2, section B, you've got all vehicles issued permits shall be parked adjacent to the side or back of the primary structure. Can we change the word adjacent?
This is approved, we're not changing it.
What?
We're not even talking about changing. The policy was just informational purposes. It's not even, I can change it if you want, but you're not voting on it. This is.
Oh, I thought this is just strictly.
He's looking at
Okay.
enforcement
This is settled
mechanism.
policy at the moment.
Oh, okay. Because, we've got a problem with corner lots where people are parking, their boats in the driveway.
Right.
Where we required them to park it parallel to the side of the house. Where now.
Precedence that a 6-foot privacy fence is not it's a structure, but it's not a permanent structure. Some of the legal arguments on that is it's closer to the lot lines than the setbacks for permanent structures. It doesn't require a building permit, which permanent structures require. It's not meet hurricane code, which permanent structures require. So no, a privacy fence as commonly built is not a permanent structure by several legal analysis and precedent.
Patricia Hogue, 2792 Camden. I believe you just have 2 residents are not complying. Do you have more than 2? There's more than 2. 5?
I would be guessing, I can't tell you.
The big issue, the individual that's saying he doesn't need a special parking permit is another number 1 person you should address legally. The boat person you should address legally, because they're totally ignoring our policies.
So I guess basically what I'm asking you is start the process violations and we'll go to mediation later, and if there's no response, then we'll bring it to you and you can decide whether you want to bring it to legal or go
Do
mediation.
you have a list of those in violation?
No, I don't have it with me.
Can we get that?
I could.
Would you get that to you by tomorrow?
I'll try. Shelby's out tomorrow. She won't be here tomorrow. So I'm not sure if Carrie can do it, to tell you the truth. She may, I'm not sure though.
I'd like to know too what contacts we've made with them and how long this has been an ongoing issue.
Well, these
with
people
each
are
of these people.
not so easy to talk to. And they're...
No, what I'm saying is, if Shelby could tell us what efforts have been made so far,
Correct.
and how long this has been an issue. She doesn't have to talk to them.
Well, the ones we're talking about, I know offhand, one of them is 6 months and one is probably about 2 months. The 2 that I'm talking about.
So this hadn't been going on for years.
No.
Or anything.
No, well, no.
Are any of these people that say they've been grandfathered in, or
No.
any of that? Okay.
One of them has a permit to park in their backyard and they refuse to do it.
Yes. One of them who's parking the boat on the driveway has a long-term parking permit for that same boat to park in their backyard, but they just don't want to. It's not convenient.
What street is that on?
Second court.
What street?
Second court.
You want to drive home and talk to them on Dr.
Kelly Smith, 7316 Olympia Street. I would suggest that the architectural staff follow the enforcement procedures all the way up to the point where they're suspended or it goes to legal. Then it's got to be tracked. You know, we have ACC enforcement procedures that brings them up through suspensions of use and then litigation. If we're not following this, even after we told them that they can't have their boats there, then, you know, there's got to be a progressive step on how we enforce.
Well, I think
And again, the reason I say that was we did the process already, just to bring everyone up to speed. The last board, we went through this process already. I brought it to the board and recommended usage rights be taken away, and then they wanted to give them a long-term parking pass for the driveway. So that's why I'm asking you, don't waste my time either. Tell me what you want.
Yeah, so get us, if you could get all of us, send it, and we can get the violators, those who are in violation, and then we can go from there. And if we do need to approve at a board meeting enforcement for you, then we can do so in the September meeting. But we need to know what we're looking at, what steps have been taken to date.
So either way, just so we're clear though, you want to start the process over again with the violation
No,
letters?
I need to see where we are. What has been done, because you said you would be guessing at 5, so there's at least 5. I'd like to see what has been done,
Okay.
how long it's been, this individual's been in violation of the parking permit, and then see at what point we are to determine where we need to go.
Wait.
Because I can't really make a decision right now because I don't have the information.
That who doesn't want to get the permit for, I already told the staff to start sending the letters, just so we'd have the paper trail. So that's where we are with that one.
Right, we need that documentation.
Right.
And I do need to speak to you about one of them after the meeting.
Okay.
So you'll get that for us and then we'll move forward on that.
Yep.
So we're moving on.
So discussion and natural landscaping on new builds regarding corner lots and front and side sprinklers to the street will be proposed and added to use in office.
Right. Does everyone have their little nice, little written drawing? This is something we'd like to have you guys take a look at and pre-approve for us that we could give to the builder who wants to leave a corner lot naturally cleared. What we had was a problem that they originally told the ACC that they were going to leave it natural, then came back and said they wanted to clear it. This is the one we were talking about last meeting. And they cut the underbrush, and next thing you know, it's like totally cleared and it's a total eyesore. So basically, if you look at it closely, and to keep it within the covenants, the covenant says that you're supposed to sod and irrigate the front and side yards. Again, keep in mind the side yard being 10 feet back from the front corner of the house. So that's where this diagram comes in. To come into compliance, we would want, even if you want to, the builder wants to keep that natural area on the side, say the roadside, we want them to still, you could keep the trees there, but the very front, it needs to still be sodded around that natural area and have sprinklers out to the street, because that's what it says in the covenants.
Would this be the shape of the lot?
This particular one, yeah.
Is this an interior lot you're showing?
No, these are corner lots.
Patricia Hogue, this setback, you're saying that in the green where it says sod and irrigate on the side, the covenants say that you have to sod and irrigate to the front and the side to the street. It's in, right, to the street. So you're saying that your policy, where you can put your fence, start your fence, ends your side yard. It does not. You're saying that your side yard stops at the 10-foot back from the front of the house. It does not. The policy states, the covenant states, that you have to sod and irrigate. I can't quote the wording, but the wording covers interior lots and corner lots, the way it's worded. It says you have to sod and irrigate the front and side to the street. And that means you have to sod and irrigate the easement to the street.
I'll agree with it. That's what this diagram's showing. But what I'm saying is, in my eyes, the backyard starts that 10 foot, just like where we put the boats. The 10 foot past the front of the house, in all reality, is beginning the backyard.
So what you want is for something such as this to be included in the package for new builders who are building on a corner lot. If they want to keep it natural, then they have to adhere to this.
Correct. Just so we could give them something that is approved, so we don't have the same issue again. We don't want them to clear the lot after they're saying they're leaving it natural and then have a big eyesore. And there's a couple of them out there. So we're just trying to prevent another.
Just that one on Camden you're talking about?
Yes. I have something else to say. Have you read the Florida Friendly Landscape brochure? Okay.
I haven't read it. I haven't had time to read it.
Okay, this area in question with this corner lot on 6701 Camden, this whole area has been cleared. There are 3 access gates that go through this natural area, and if you read in that brochure, it specifies that all this has to be flagged off during construction if you're keeping it natural. So it's been cleared of pines. So there's 1 tree left. So it's no longer natural. So in our covenants it says that if a lot is cleared, it is to be sodded and irrigated.
With trees.
Oh,
And of course, approved landscape drawing.
yes, and you can keep a natural tree in your area. Is that what you're saying?
That says sodded in.
I think 6701 Camden is not what we're discussing.
But
with
you're
this.
allowing
But
him
can I-
to
may I
use
finish?
this-
May I finish, please? Because I think I'm going to address what you're going to say, but let me finish. 6701 Camden Street is not what we're dealing here. So from my understanding, this is for new home builders, okay? But 6701 Camden Street they had schematics or plans for natural landscaping. But what they've done, from my understanding, what you're saying is they've essentially cleared their lot. So, but it's not, they don't have it sodded, and it's not, there's no sprinkler system, irrigation system. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what have we done to address the fact that they did not stick to the approved plan? And what can we do to address that? Because this is two different issues, and I do want to address 6701.
You want to address it now?
Yes, so what have we done?
It's gonna come to you, so I don't think we have to address it now.
Okay.
It's just not brought to you at this time.
So it is going to come before us?
It's going to come
Okay,
before you.
good.
Okay.
So then, because I didn't want to blow you off, Patricia, okay, so, but I wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying. Okay, so this is what you would like to approve to builders?
Correct.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the,
I'm sorry, but you can't. You can't approve that this is not sodded and irrigated. This is a street. This north latitude 16, east 2008. That is a street. And the covenants say you have to sod and irrigate to the street. Now, if they want
even if
to,
you're having a natural landscape.
you can have both. If you look
So
around my
this-
home,
so
there's
this-
both.
So this schematic has the natural uncleared, where it's uncleared, from, how many feet is it from the front to where it says sod irrigate? How many feet is that?
There's only, it's the house is set back 35 feet from the front of the street.
Feet in the
feet.
corner, in the right corner,
The right
where it
corner.
says sod
Basically, what
example.
I'm looking at is the 10-foot back rule. Everything from that 10-foot back from the front corner to the front of the street and out to the side need to be sodded.
Sod and irrigated,
I
so,
completely agree with that.
so back where, behind sod irrigate, where there's the natural uncleared with the pink line,
Right.
diagonal line.
Technically, I believe, and the ACC believes, is the backyard. We have no right to say that you need to sod that.
But
Because
it's
this
the
is-
side, it's
because
the
this is
side
a-
yard.
At what point, though? The point
The
is
side
10
goes
foot.
all the way down for a corner lot.
Well, you say, but you're allowed to park your boat there. So you can't say that's technically in the backyard. That 10-foot back becomes your backyard now.
Only by
You
your
can't-
policy, not by the code.
Listen, I only go by what's written. I don't write everything. I'm just trying to enforce it. You want to change it, change it. From what
So-
I read, 10-foot back from the front of the house is considered the backyard.
No,
With,
that's, not for this. You're talking apples and oranges.
I think the point is well made. At what point does the backyard begin on a side lot, on a corner lot? Because
And
the
whether or
backyard
not-
is visible, so is it a side yard or is it a backyard?
right, and whether or not how much you will have to make them sod the easement, which is not technically their land, even though it says in our covenants that it should be sodded all the way up to the edge of the road.
Yeah, it is. It's in the covenant.
Do you have the part where it describes a backyard for a corner lot?
There's nothing about backyard. It basically says, let's see, where is it
It
at
says
here?
front and side yard.
To the streets.
It's got
To the
sodding is
street.
required for the front and side of all lots. Okay? A corner lot has two sides.
No, I understand that, but a homeowner could argue, behind my house is a backyard. It is the backyard. So we have fenced it in, it's a backyard. So
So
what
if you-
I need is clarification in it, with a home like this, where it is a corner lot, and they want to keep it natural, because that's what they consider their backyard, is that permissible?
I read this, it's the side of the lot.
I can give you an example of a yard like this. It's right next to mine right now, and they have, it's on Navigator, Sunrise Navigator. Navigator actually, on the side, they have grass, and they do have trees still in their backyard that they have not cut down. They've left it natural. So
They
up
have a
to,
fence, right?
yeah, and they have a fence, and all of it is grass
So
From-
it's sided to the street.
from
But
to the street.
here's the issue though. You're going to make people cut down the trees? Is that what you're
Uh-huh.
saying?
I'm just saying that is an
That's
example.
my point. If people really want to keep it natural, you're saying you want them to cut the edge by the street and sod it?
No, I don't.
I don't.
What he's my interpretation is, the easement in this whole neighborhood is cleared by the county. There's no trees in the easement.
But yes, but the easement is not the backyard. We're talking
No, we're
a few
talking
feet
side
from the
yard. I'm
street.
not talking backyard.
But in this drawing here, what he is saying is this natural uncleared would be considered someone's backyard. Now, your easement that runs alongside the road would be, what is it, 10 feet?
It depends on the road.
So
Some of it's 25
Mine's
feet.
we'll
38
say,
feet.
so 20 feet, that easement, yes, but we're talking beyond the easement. Where, like with this natural uncleared area here, that whole area is not going to be the easement.
This dot, 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 dot along this,
Look at it right here.
pie-shaped area.
That would be the easement,
That
but
is
then
the
the
easement.
rest of the natural uncleared is what he's saying is to remain unclear.
That's fine, that's fine. But the covenant said you have to sod and irrigate to the street. And if you go by
the
my
street's
home,
edge.
to the street's edge, not 20 feet back, because it's a clay road. And when this covenants were written, there were 45 paved and 43 clay roads. And there's still remaining clay roads in here that homes have been built on. And if you go by my home, a builder right across the street at Codell and Camden, his front yard is fully natural, but in the easement, it is sodded and irrigated. It is not natural because the county has cleared all that. There's nothing to make natural, except for weeds when you're starting to build.
Does
Again,
this,
the
is that clear? I understand what she's saying. Is this clear with this dotted line that easement is not included in the natural landscaping with this schematic?
No, they're wanting to include it.
No, yeah, we're not saying yet. You're saying you want to have them sod that?
Well, if it is the easement, and the easement, as she said, because it is already cleared.
Well, you could only have them sod it. If you want to say the backyard is the back edge of the house, then now you're going to go to the back of the pool. You're going to go back edge of the corner of the house.
No, just the easement that runs alongside the road.
No, but I say, you're saying you could only make them sod it to the back of the house. You can't make them sod the whole thing, whether you want them or not.
It says you can.
No, you can't. You can't. It says right there, only the front and side. It doesn't say the backyard. So where does the backyard start?
But if the backyard is cleared, then it needs to be sodded.
Correct.
Or if the easement is cleared.
Can I just do a little bit of research on this first? Is that okay? Is there someone I'd like to call and to ask about this issue? Like a house like mine, it's not an issue, but for these corner lots like this, I do think we need to be very specific with what is, because I understand what you're saying, what's a backyard, what's a side, I get both issues. So I think we owe it to homeowners before we put this in there, that it's clear. Because it's not fair to the homeowner to say, well, this is the backyard and you don't have to sod it, and then another board comes along and says, no, you do. So I think we need to make that clear. So is everybody okay with me doing some research before we do anything with
And
this?
maybe really think about where you want to say the back, the rear. Is it the whole side going to the back corner?
And that's what I'd like to find out. And if our covenants are not in line with, say, the county code or the state, then we need to find out.
But then, let's just say they put that fence at that 10-foot mark. Technically, that's their backyard now, right? Because you can't see back there. So, do they have to sod that too? Technically,
Well, I
they
think
don't.
what we're dealing with is the easement. So let me do some research and we will bring this back next month or next meeting to provide a solid answer for you.
Okay.
Can it wait 30 days, or not 30 days, but, okay?
Whatever.
All right, so discussion of county setback requirements of accessory buildings.
Okay. So Holly by the Sea is 10 feet, right, with the setbacks. Just with the side yards, we just did a variance tonight for 7 feet back to the shed and garage, right? 10 feet is ours, otherwise you have to go to the board and get a variance. County, for the Wilsons that were just here, it says right on their application from the county, it's 5 foot. Holly by the Sea had, I guess, by the engineer for a drainage easement. So whoever originally, it must be on all the surveys when you had it done, as 6 feet. So Beth brought that point up last meeting, I believe, at Holly by the Sea. County said they do not enforce that. We talked about it at the ACC, keeping that with the 6 foot. We want to encourage everyone, all the homeowners, that we're going to make that the 6 foot limit. I'm just bringing this to you of where the ACC is. If anybody's asking for a variance, we're going to say, no, 6 foot is the minimum, because the closest you could go to the property line is, I guess I basically is saying, is that okay? Because
So
that's
just
what it
changing it
says.
from the 10
from
feet to
the
the 6 feet.
engineer. Even though the county does say, I guess if you wanted to allow it, we did allow, there's 3 times since I've been here, we allowed 5 feet. So just to let you know that, that is, we asked for a variance on 3 properties to allow it to go to 5 feet. And the county is okay with that.
Okay, so you're saying the county regulation is 5 feet,
Correct.
but they don't enforce it.
Well,
Our
they
regulation
could
is-
enforce the 5 feet. They
They
don't enforce
could,
our, they don't enforce our 6 foot. Our
Oh,
6
I
foot
got
was set up, I guess, back in 19.
Oh, yeah, of course they would.
They don't enforce our 10 feet.
You have to sign an easement.
No, he said that, what she said, no, we got documentation. I have an email that says they do not enforce our 6 foot. They enforce their 5 foot.
I thought we had 10 right now.
We do for permit for the main structure is 10 foot.
Right, we're talking about accessory buildings, like a shed or something. You want to put a shed next to your property line.
Right.
Now, if there is a discrepancy between our documents and
The county.
county documents, then county documents will be superior to that, and we wouldn't be able to enforce anything greater than 5 feet, would we?
No. Not, well, what we're saying, the county's saying you could go 5 feet. We're saying you got to be 6 feet
Yeah,
more.
but we can't enforce that because it's in conflict with the county regulation.
Well, you're
We
giving
can be
it-
more restrictive than the county.
Yeah, you're already saying it really needs to be 10 feet, and then you're giving a variance to let it go up to 6.
You couldn't do less than.
You're giving an extra 4 feet with a variance, basically. A bit, I'm just saying the ACC wants to recommend to the people that we're looking at 6 feet. I just want to be on the same page with everybody.
Why don't we just make it the same as the county at 5 feet, just say the
Uh,
setback is 5 feet?
I'll throw in this again, we're reinventing lost documentation. But the covenants say, Article 7, Section 1, utilities reservation. And it's, get down here, subdivider shall have and does hereby reserve the right to locate, erect, construct, maintain, use, or authorize the location, erection, construction of drains, sewer systems, sanitary sewers, water mains, electric and telephone lines, and other utilities within a 6 foot easement from the property line. So that's why temporary structures, fine. But if you're placing a permanent structure closer than 6 feet, probably okay most of the time. But if at some point in the future, there's a requirement to put a sewer in there, the association would have every right to tear off that last foot of the building. So it's, yeah, 5 foot's okay by the county. However, 6 foot would be better because we have a utilities drainage easement that
Is
we
there,
may
is there a
never,
county utility similar to that with the county?
on some lots.
But there's not a standard, there's not a standard?
Not that I'm aware
Yes,
of.
there is.
There is a standard, okay.
So what does the
Not-
standard code say about these utilities?
They're on our, I sent Pete a screenshot, per se, of plats in Holly by the Sea. And there is a note on there that says, every lot in Holly by the Sea has a side easement on both sides of 10 feet. That's 10 feet on my side, 10 feet on your side. That's where the 10 feet came from. And it may not be a county rule, it may not be in our covenants, but it is in the plat description. It says right on there, every lot in Holly by the Sea has a 10-foot drainage easement on both sides of the side of the property.
Well, if that's the case, then it just needs to stay as it is, right?
Well, no, we are asking for it to stay as it is. Anything that is, we always try to get it 10 feet. We always ask them to get it to 10 feet. But they're going to come to say, I can't, and they want a variance. It's going to come to you. We're going to say the minimum, again, I'm just going to tell them the minimum is 6 feet, otherwise you can't do it. You're not even going to entertain it if it's less than 6 feet. That's all I'm saying. I'm agreeing with I'm agreeing with actually everybody. It's just, we're just want to get it out there to the homeowners. We all in agreement?
Sounds good to me.
6 foot? So don't come asking
They just,
for a
they just
variance.
need to know that at some point in time, they may have to, as Pete said,
Right.
remove a portion of their
Right, even,
structure.
right. I guess technically you could approve up to 5 feet if you really wanted to, with the variance saying that if the county comes in and they need to get in your easement, you might have to move your building.
Yeah, they need to be aware there is a 10-foot easement.
Well, that should be a part of the variance request, that they're told that when they come and they ask for a variance, that information is given to them up front, because they may then decide not to ask for the variance. So that is something that I think,
Maybe we should add that.
yes, that you just let them know that, look, you can request a variance, but this is what the county says. At some point, if it's approved, you're taking on the responsibility of, you may have to, take down your building. So if they know that and then they still want the variance, then they're doing so with full knowledge, as opposed to you approved it, you didn't tell me, type of thing.
Right.
Okay?
That's all I got.
All right, so, Patricia?
Just had a small comment.
Yes.
If you are driving around the conventional area where I live, this is what's called conventional. I'm not in Hidden Brook Estates, I'm not in Petal Ridge or whatever. The streets along were like this. And if you look at a lot of the homes, 90%, the backyards butt at street intersections, backyard to backyard. It does not say where you can have to place your house. In my situation, my house faces Camden and my side yard is Codell. I did get approval to put my boat in my side yard by the ACC. It is visible from someone's front yard, but it is parked within the approved area. The problem with 6701 Castlewood is the side yard is my front yard. So this is what is joining my front yard.
Actually, the backyard is your front yard.
Or the backyard, it's,
Part of the backyard is your,
is my
part
front
of,
yard.
part of your front yard.
Yes, 77 feet of this fencing is in my side and front yard. So it's and that's why I think this easement, sodded and irrigated issue actually was put in there for me, in my opinion. It would cover all situations so that regardless of how your house faced, you're not faced with an ugly appearance in the front of your yard.
Adjacent to the front of your yard.
Adjacent.
I'd like to come by your house to get.
I welcome you to come and look at the house across from
I know you said 6701 Camden, and then you said 6701 Castlewood.
6701 Castlewood is the issue with the parking.
And may I ask where you are?
2792 Camden. My house is on the Clay Road. There's another home at the corner of Camden and Codell that is natural. And the street easement is sodded and irrigated. If you want to come by a certain time when the irrigation's going on, I can let you know. But it is irrigated. There is another property across from me on Camden, which this builder was involved in. There is irrigation along Camden, and why he was not forced to put sod there, I don't know. But I could even point out in the easement that there is irrigation there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, now a motion to adjourn?
Second.
November 7th.
This meeting is adjourned.